I love that. Well, so one of my biggest advices to stressed out executives.
Mhm.
You ready for it?
Sure.
Go for a long walk and talk to somebody. They're like, "What? What do you mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, go for a walk for an hour and then talk to somebody."
Just a random.
It's so empowering.
Let me ask you this. So we just had so our show is really structured around this one question, and it's I don't know if you remember or not, and when we emailed each other, but had you known or had we known there were other options to exhaust and explore, what would you do with that information? So I am very open to if I don't understand or know about it, I'm like, bring it on, let's go. I'm all about that because I'm not even close to knowing anything. All I know is I don't know anything, which is a great place to start.
All you gotta know. That's all you
That's
gotta
it.
know. Then you can't screw it up.
And so there was a gentleman. We did there was a supplement that one of the ex chief science officers of Pfizer had developed, and it was a detoxify a lot of heavy metals in the body. And I'm like, okay, and it has um, a lot of positive benefits for people with ADHD or heavy metals or different types of like diseases or illnesses that it helps a positive benefit for. One of their ambassadors reached out to me and said, hey, by the way, we have this ancient medicinal therapy. We'd like to talk about it. I said, sure, what is it? And then he goes, urine therapy. I said, what? So I'm like your pee. And he's like, yeah. So you know something? I scratched my head, and not only have I started to become friends with and good friends with this person. He lives in the UK. I brought it to my wife and I said, "What do you think about this?" And she looked at me. She goes, "You should be having conversations like that because it's different."
Totally.
So now I met another gentleman on through LinkedIn. He had reached out to me. He had General Petraeus on. He wanted to kind of go back and forth with some stuff, and I said, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it." And I said, he was a physician in India,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Oh, what's new?" I said, "You know something? We just had what most would consider like a really atypical conversation." And he goes, "What was it about?" I said, "It was about urine therapy." He goes, "But of course." So now I'm sitting
So
there
good.
going, why'd you say that? I go, tell me, I go, there's something there, of course. And he goes, Scott, you can go to any corner store in India and buy jarred, aged urine. He goes, it's all true. And again, and that's one of the, and I've talked about this a lot in the show earlier, is like, the healthcare system is surrounded towards one word, and that's payment. And Harry Matadine came out and he just blew it up. He was like, look, there's sun therapy, there's intermittent fasting, there's urine therapy.
Totally.
There's all these different, quote unquote therapies or the name that we want to give them, and they're all free. And they have significant, profound impacts on the body.
Yeah.
I learned so much.
I love that. Well, so one of my biggest advices to stressed out executives.
Hmm.
You ready for it?
Sure.
Go for a long walk and talk to somebody. They're like, "What? What do you mean?" I'm like, "Yeah, go for a walk for an hour and then talk to somebody."
Just a random person on the street.
And they're like, "What do you mean? Like, how do I like do?" And I was like, "No, no, because after an hour of walking, you'll feel like relaxed and comfortable and like in touch with yourself. And then talk to a stranger, call a like just talk to somebody and tell me if your experience is different than what you're experiencing now." And they'll call me and they'll be like, "Oh my God, Frank, I just had the most amazing experience." And it's repeated every single time because when do we take an hour for ourselves in our own mind while exercising our body in an atmosphere we like and then share with another human being?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so simple when you get in there and you start looking around and you get to the basics of things that, yeah, I honestly love the urine therapy thing. And I mean, I think there's so many tools. Everyone's looking outside
Yeah.
and they're really all in here and they're all in here
Yeah.
and they're all like at our fingertips.
Hmm.
And all you got to do is ask.
Right.
Like I honestly, all I did was tell people my story. And once I had my life together and it was a good story, people went, "Oh man, well, let me help you. That's a great story. Like, I see where you're going." And that was it. Like, that's all that changed in my life. So that's why I tell these kids, get your shit together and come to me with your story, and I'll help you. And that's sometimes all that's needed.
Wow. Frank, you're a blessing.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you having me.
I actually do have one last question for you. Out of all the executives who you've given that advice to, what's the best story they've ever come back with?
Best one was had a executive come back. He befriended a woman. Ended up walking down a street road, I think in Pennsylvania, Scranton, I think, walking down a street road for an hour, just aimlessly walking, just in his own head. He comes up on a woman who's sitting by a sign, just sitting there, and he strikes up a conversation with her. Turns out she'd lost everything, had just run away from her home, from her marriage. She was in an abusive relationship. Like the whole thing had fallen apart. And he's like, well, can I help you? And she's like, oh my God, yeah. Takes her home, helps her get on her feet. Like they're like the closest of friends. And he's got like a friend for life. And he literally took this. He's like, well, come with me. We're going to walk an hour back. And she stayed with him for like a week, got on her feet, like everything, but like changed this woman's life. And they're like literally best friends. Like, wow. So he gained a friend for his life. It changed her life. She was, completely destitute, had no idea what to do, had been waiting to run away and escape this situation for years and years. Finally got the courage to do it. And along comes my buddy. Hey, how you doing? And just starts like literally, how are you doing? And she goes, oh my God. And boom. So that's the best story ever. And they're literally friends. Like, they every day texting, hanging out. Like it's absolutely amazing.
Well, when you first mentioned Scranton, I thought of The Office.
Yeah. Well, that's right. All I can imagine is this guy, it's like a big suit guy. He's like just, hiking down the road, like, big trees. Like I'm just trying to visualize this thing. And then, there's just some woman sitting there. And he's like, she looked perfectly normal, seemed like, there was nothing wrong, it seemed. So I started talking to her. And then this is what had literally just happened. I was like, wow, man.
Wow. That's a very cool story.
He recommends this to all of his friends now. He's like, well, you got an issue, you got a problem? Yeah, go walk for an hour and just talk to somebody. Talk to a stranger, call your friend. Like, you know what I mean? Clear your head, clear your mind, clear your body, get outside, and then make an effort to communicate with somebody.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Frank, thank you. Thank you. Man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We'll be in touch again for sure. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Cool. I look forward to it.
Thanks, Frank. Be good.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Take care.
Bye.
Nation, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and add a comment to the discussion. If you have a moment, head on over to scottyburgess.com and check out all of our great affiliates. Also, if you want more great videos, you can check them out here and here. See you there.